Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Marketing Botics podcast. I wonder if I do that in all my videos when I say Marketing Botics. I should look over that. Anyway, in today's episode, we are going to be talking about why a podcast, why you should be making a podcast, what it does for your business and what it doesn't. I was actually going to do something else. I was going to do one about why a CRM, but for some reason my fingers wrote podcast instead. So I was like, subconsciously, I want to do one about podcasts. So that's what I'm here to do today. Is a podcast about a podcast about why you should be doing it and the benefits it brings to your business. Okay, so look, podcasts are kind of those you are for them or you're not. Some people benefit from them, love them, and they have podcasts on all the time. They listen to them in the car, and they they listen to them whether at work. They got them in the background, helps them go to bed. There's so many different types of podcasts that you can have. Some people like them in video form, some people like them in audio form, and they are booming at the moment. And then on the other side of things, you got people who just don't want to listen to them. Business owners that go to their job, might be, in doing a certain trade. I'm not saying tradespeople, I'm saying a certain trade or certain business, where they can go to work and then they can come home and they just, they prefer to just browse on Facebook and Insta and on their mobile phone and, read newspapers, things like that, and just have no interest in the continuous learning that you get from podcasts. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm probably in between. I don't listen to podcasts when I go to bed. I do listen to them when I'm sat chilling. I do like scrolling on my mobile phone, so I'm in between that middle bit. And I like to consume as much current affairs as I do podcasts. So and local news stories. So I'm kind of definitely in between. But the thing is, a podcast is highly beneficial if you're a business owner to be creating podcasts, and for multiple reasons. One, because it's additional content that you can get out there. And I've created the podcast, and I think I'm up to episode 26, 27 now. And I was doing these one every weekday, so 5 a day. Now I'm down to one every 3, so that's dipped down. And look, I'm probably getting no engagement at the moment. I think I get a couple of people watching these, but I wouldn't exactly say it's breaking any records for the amount of listeners that someone can get. But the reason I continue is because it's content. It's content that people can listen to, and it's always there, which means 6-7 months down the line when I'm in fact, this happened on Friday. So on Friday I was like, I got no social media post. I'll just share a podcast. I'll share a podcast, and it created some good engagement. So that's why it's good to have a podcast. Is one, because it's content that's always there. Another thing is because it's content that can be found. Just because I haven't got many hits at the moment, the reason I'm continue doing it is because I know I will. The more and more you do it, the more engagement that you will eventually get. It's just consistency. And look, it can take anywhere between a couple of months to a couple of years in order to get this off the ground. I remember listening or watching a YouTube video with Mr. Beast. I just feel weird calling him Mr. Beast. I don't even know what his real name is. And he replayed one back when he was in I think it's got to be about 2019 or something like that. And he's actually said, look, I'm going to start reducing the amount of content I put out because I'm just not getting the engagement. And in fact, I'm going to consider stopping my YouTube channel altogether because it's just not happening for me. And that was after about 3 years of doing it. And look where he is now. He's the richest person on YouTube, I believe, in terms of the amount of revenue in which someone makes. He's not the richest person in the world because he spends his money back on making more videos and giving it away and things like that. So it took him years and years and years, and it's easy to not see that and forget that it takes years, because we live in a world where you see all these YouTube videos where it's how to go from 0 to £1 million business in a month. You can't do that. It takes a lot of time and effort before you start that month in order to make that happen. And that's just never shown, because no way would someone say, hey, how to go from 0 to 1 million in 4 or 5 years. People would be like, bro, it's going to take ages. I'm not doing that. In fact, if you told me I was going to be a millionaire in 4 years, I'd be like, put me on the path. This is back when I was younger. Put me on the path. No, would I? When I was younger, maybe I wouldn't. I had this idea that I could be a millionaire in about 6 months. So maybe I wouldn't have. Maybe even back then, me being me would have said, no, I want something quicker. Maybe. I said it's why I've tried so many get quick rich schemes back in the past, back in my young, naive days. So look, podcasts take time. And, the more you do, the more you put out there, eventually the more known they're going to become. So that's two. So one is the collateral that you get forever. The second is, they do start bringing exposure to you. They just take time. And three is when you structure the content, the way that you create the content correctly, then you've got content for your channels. And I've got a download, I believe, at the moment on my website. So marketingbotics.com. Botics is Botics, marketingbotics.com. And on there you can download this, and it's how to create content easily. And what that teaches you is this, what I'm doing now. So I'm creating this video, so this podcast, but I'm creating it in video form using StreamYard. And then what I do is I download this and I put it into my editing software. And that's where you're pretty thinking, oh my God, that's getting complex. But you don't need to do it. It's just that I can, because I am an editor. But all I do in it is just top and tail it and cut a piece out in the middle and add my my 30-second promo clip in the middle. Actually, I think it's after about a minute. So, if you're watching this, you would have gone past that bit already. And in order to get that in there, I've just got to think about, or I've got to remember adding it into the video as I'm doing it. So I know after about 30 seconds, I need to find a way to have a natural pause for 2-3 seconds before continuing. And that way it means that I can put a splice mark in there, and I don't have to trim or anything. I just put a splice mark and add in that promo. And it fits. And it takes me, I don't know, about 3-4 minutes to do. And then I just put one at the end. And again, I just tailor it, cut the ends off should I need to. But sometimes I don't even need to do that if I start and end the recording correctly. And the thing is like, this isn't polished. I am a good speaker. I know I am a good speaker because of how much speaking I've done it, but you should have seen me at the very beginning. I remember when I was probably about 22, went to an audition because I want to be an actor. At this point, I already gone to stage school and got told I couldn't act, and that's why I became an editor. But I was an editor, and I also said, do you want to become? I also went to my local Amdram to try and become an actor. And I did my audition, and then I remember going over to the table at the end, and I saw on the notes, will do, but requires a lot of work. And I looked at that and thought, oh, for God's sake, I've done all this and everything like that. And they, I thought I was good, but I still got a lot of work to do. So it's all just about taking time, just because I'm confident now. Yeah. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not confident enough to just reel off, from, without stopping, things like that. Fine, I understand that it takes time. I do this from I start and I just go all the way through and do a 10-minute video. Admittedly, this video has been stopped because I had to just shoot away from the camera quickly. But again, the way it's edited together, you probably won't realize that. And even if you do have to start and stop, and you do, have a lot of ums and ahs and things like that, there's tools out there now which you can use in order to quickly edit. Even Premiere Pro, which I use, now with AI, it's got a way that it can splice it all out for you. And there's other tools out there that can do it. And you don't have to create 10-minute podcasts. They can be 3, 4, 5-minute podcasts. But anyway, back to the whole process about why I do it. And I film like this, and, I edit it in Premiere, put it, top and tail it and put that ident in. And then what I do once it's done is I upload it to my podcast channel, which is Spotify, Anchor, but owned by Spotify now. And then that goes out to Spotify, it goes out to Google Music and Apple Podcasts. And then the video I stick up on YouTube. And as I said, once up there, I can share this over to my LinkedIn should I want. And then the other thing I do is I run the video or the audio, doesn't matter, through an app called Descript, and it takes out all the text for me, and they run that text then through Google, through ChatGTP, and that creates loads of text in which I then ask it to turn into a blog. And then I go through that blog afterwards. I spend an hour going through that blog afterwards to make sure that it is right. And, I can also create social media posts for that. I can just create a description for the podcast and everything. And that whole process doesn't take too long. And it all starts by doing a podcast, a video podcast, admittedly. But you can miss out the YouTube bit if you wanted to, and just do your voice if you had an issue about being on camera. But look, if you're a business owner, you need to start getting used to being on camera, because it's the way that we're moving. It has been for a long time. People want to see people on their marketing now. So it's important that you do that. There's going to be people out there tell you it's not true and you don't have to, and you can do £1 million in a day without being the face of your company. But at the end of the day, it doesn't. And if you want to run a company that you're passionate about, not just creating some e-com business that sells something that you don't even care about and you're going to give up after a few months, then if it's something you care about, then you need to be on camera. So creating a podcast really, really helps. Like at the moment, you can't see this podcast, I've got a spot on the end of my nose that's really, really shiny, and I can see it. And normally I'll be like, oh my god, I'm not going on camera to do that. No, but to the hell with it. I need to make content. I can't afford to wait a day or 2 days. I need to get some stuff up there, and it doesn't matter how I look. No one's going to comment about a spot on the end of my nose. We all go through those afflictions, those issues. So it's perfectly fine. So why do a podcast? Because it's the start of everything. It's the start of giving yourself more exposure. It's the start of creating content that's going to be there forever. 3-4 months down the line, it's something that you can share. And also because it's the start of creating other content. You can use this for a video, use it for a audio podcast. You can use it for a blog, social media posts. You can use it for absolutely everything. And it all starts with a simple top podcast of you just talking about you just talking about something you know about, something that you're passionate about, what your business does. We've got a service that does this for people. It's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about it, is because, what we do for others as well. We sit down with people and make a podcast and then create a month's worth of content for them just off the back of that podcast. Is that helps populate their social media scheduler that they have in our CRM. As part of our agency, we don't post for people. We get them to do that, because we want them to be connected to their social media. It's important that they are connected, so we create the content for them and we help post. But it's important that you as a business owner are connected to the content that you push out. Don't just make it and then expect someone else to do it, or in fact get someone else to make it, because you won't engage with those comments and those replies. It's important that you're active on your social media yourself every day. Or you've got teams of people that do it in-house, not an agency who can give you a few hours here and there, because it needs a commitment to it in order to make it work. And it's not something that can be pushed aside. Your social media is one of your primary points of marketing. And again, can start off the content with a simple podcast like this. Anyway, so why do a podcast? Pretty much it. Use Spotify in order to do it. You can use your mobile phone. You can download. Can you download Anchor on here? You can download so many different things on here. So if I just go to my app store here and type in podcast there, you can see that it opens up tools in which I can actually make my own podcast. There's so many out there, like Google Podcasts you can do as well. That's a key one. So Spotify for podcasters, previously Anchor, that's the one that I use just there. So, you can log in using that. and you can create your podcast directly in there. It's even got some 30-second idents in which you can create. So if you are doing it on there, you can just create your 30 seconds, put it in there, then add your ident, your 30-second, or sorry, 10-second piece of music, and then you just create the other video which attaches to the end, and there you are. You've got it. Post done. Once you got it all connected using Spotify, you got your Apple Podcasts and Amazon Music connected in there as well. It will auto post to both of them for you. It's brilliant what it can do, and how quickly it is that you can create a podcast. So yeah. So anyway, don't make this too long. Already gone over what I normally do, but I really want to talk about the power of podcasts because I really love making podcasts at the moment, for all the reasons that I've outlined in here. Anyway, if you are listening to podcasts, again, please like my channel. I've told you all the channels that I'm on. And you can also, if you're watching it on YouTube, you can like my YouTube video. Subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the likes I can get. Yeah, it's powerful stuff. Marketing, you've got to get it right. And in my other videos, I go over how you can grow your following as well. And there's more of that to come. So it's important that you do. Brilliant. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care.